our place to stay connected and continue to do good things for ourselves, our bodies, our minds, and everyone around us. So I know we got some stuff to work on this morning. Let's go ahead and get started. The proof is in the pudding. So we're going to start practicing our yoga and get all that good stuff going. So at this point, I am going to mute you all, but you're always welcome to unmute yourself at any time or use our chat box to communicate. I keep an eye on you. I got a little better setup today. Nancy, I used your suggestion and I lifted up my laptop a little bit. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to work out a little bit better. I know my hands might still get a little cut off, but I think we're pretty good. All right, and I would like us to start in our child's pose again this morning. So as you work into your child's pose, please use your props accordingly. So those of us that want to be more supported, especially if we take care of our knees, feel free to take a pillow or two, some yoga blocks behind you to sit on, so that doesn't put as much compression on the knees. You can also slide cushion underneath the knees and the shin bones, placing props in front of the body to help support the chest and the abdomen. And we also want our head to be supported. So if we're able to extend it through the fingertips, we'll start in a more active balasana this morning, getting that stretch to the shoulders, allowing the forehead to be rested to the ground. But if we are unable to immediately go into this bigger stretch, modify, accommodate. So I'm going to give us all a moment to get into position. And because I know all of you know your bodies and your practice really well, we'll all just choose what works best for us today. Remembering that we might not be where we normally are in some of these poses, especially first thing in the morning or depending on activity that we've taken over the weekend. But if we give ourselves time and we practice patience and we follow our breath, our body will slowly start to open itself back up. And on that note this morning, I'm just going to read a quick excerpt from a book called Awakening the Spine by Vanda Scaravelli. And it kind of talks about this opening and how we can kind of address our body a little bit differently. So as I'm reading this passage, I want you to do our opening connection, a mental scan of the body, a connection to the breath, bringing our mind into our practice. And as we listen to what she has to say, maybe we can feel some of these things immediately in our body. She says, there is a division at the center of the spine where it moves simultaneously in two opposite directions, from the waist down toward the legs and feet, which are pulled by gravity, and from the waist upwards through the top of the head, lifting us up freely. The pull of gravity under our feet makes it possible for us to extend the upper part of the spine. And this extension allows us also to release tension between the vertebrae. Gravity is like a magnet attracting us to the earth, but this attraction is not limited to pulling us down. It also allows us to stretch in the opposite direction towards the sky. So in our practice today, I want us to kind of feel that space in the small of our back behind the waist. It's around L5 in the lumbar vertebra, where we start to feel more of the effects of gravity pulling us down through the lower half of the body, but that we'll still be able to grow up from that attraction to the earth and have that extension through the length of the spine, through our upper limbs, just as a tree would grow up from its roots. So in child's pose, we're actually stretching this area of our body, so the area of the low back. We can still allow the upper half of the body from the waist forward, even though it's grounding towards the ground. We can feel that opening through our vertebra. And then try to let the lower half of the body sink as much towards the ground, around those hips, behind the knees, and through the feet. Acknowledge and address any areas today that we are feeling some stiffness, tightness in, soreness. Those things are okay to feel. We acknowledge them and honor them. And we know that we will work with ahimsa, or nonviolence, towards our body and our practice today. And then just a couple more smooth, even breaths here through the nose. Feel the breath move in the body. Allow that exhale to help the body open and release tension. Remembering that our breath is our guide and the bridge between our mind and our body. And then let's all follow one more cycle of breath in this pose. Again, maybe try to breathe from that lower back area, feeling the extension on the inhale through the upper half of the body, whether the fingertips are reaching forward or not. Big breath in. And the exhale allows us to release and open, allowing that lower half of the body to continue to ground towards the earth. And try to exhale completely, every last drop out. And then as we breathe in, we're going to start to bring our body up out of the pose. So if the hands are stacked underneath the forehead, place your hands forward. We'll float the head and the body up out of this pose. It is a challenging pose to hold for some time, especially for that compression on the knees. So let's walk our hands forward. Spread those fingers out nice and wide, press into the earth, draw the low belly in, moving right into tabletop. Our knees are stacked underneath our hips. Keep those hips nice and level, and let's give our right leg a nice big stretch. So stretch that foot behind you, ball the foot to the floor, pressing your weight to that heel to open the eye of the knee. Try to lift that right thigh bone to get more length. Nice deep breath in. Exhale, right knee comes down. Those hips should stay level. Left foot stretches back, straight from the hip. Tuck those toes under. Shift the weight back as much as you want. We should feel that through the calf, maybe up into the thigh. Big breath in. Exhale, left knee comes down. Now remember, at any time that our wrists want to take a break, we may rise up on our fingertips into Hasta Bandha, or take fists for wrists. We'll start to get some movement through our spine now in our cat-cows. So on the inhale, let's relax the belly. You'll feel that lower back area sink. We'll extend tailbone to the crown of the head, gazing forward. The exhale is going to allow us to open up that space between the vertebrae. So scoop the tailbone under. Draw the belly in, rounding the back up with the intention of opening and creating space in that low back. Draw the chin towards the chest, drishti to the belly button. Now let's really connect to our breath here, moving in and out of these poses, cat-cow, allowing that breath to initiate the movement. So every inhale, an opportunity to lengthen, extend the spine, filling ourselves up. Every exhale, we're stretching the muscles, we're creating space between the vertebrae, rounding the back. Maybe our body is telling us that we need a little bit more of one than the other, so feel free to hang out and maybe more of the back bending or the flexion. Feel free to add little lateral movements side to side and to the shoulders, the head and neck. And then we'll come back into a neutral position here. Draw that low belly in. Let's re-extend the right leg behind us. So the right leg is straight, ball the foot to the floor. We're going to pick up our right leg parallel to the floor now. So actively flex that right foot. A little bit of balance work, some spinal integration to wake up the muscles along the spine. Left arm will reach forward, palm in, thumb up. We are going to add movement to this pose in a moment, but find the stability and the strength first. And then we'll move into Surya Kagasan, or sunbird pose. So flip the palm up and point the toes of the foot. On the inhale, we strengthen the back by trying to lift the leg and the arm a little higher. On the exhale, we're going to contract our abdominal muscles, pulling the knee and the elbow under the body. Inhale, lengthen and lift. Exhale, pull and squeeze. One more. We'll meet on the inhale, lengthening and lifting. Keep the right leg up. Bring the left hand back down. So both arms are nice and strong. Float the right leg over to the left. You may bring the top of the foot to the floor or tuck the toes under. Look over that left shoulder and give the right side of the body a nice big stretch. On the inhale, bring the head and the leg back up. Exhale, right knee comes down. Wrists want to take a break. Hatha to the hands or fists for wrists. A couple cat-cows again before we do that on the other side. Inhaling, taking us into our gentle back bend. Exhale into flexion. Balance the body out, come back to neutral. Nice strong hands, the arms are strong, use the muscles. Keep your hips level, stretch the left leg straight back from the hip. Foot actively flexing will hover the left leg parallel to the floor now. Continue to draw in through the lower abdominals. Right arm reaches forward. Palm facing in, thumb up. So find your balance. You might be shaking around a little bit, quivering in those muscles. We're waking everything up in this pose. Moving to Surya Kagasan, Sunbird. Turn the palm up, point the toes. On the inhale, strengthen the back by trying to lift up a little higher. Exhale, contract the abdominals, pull the knee and elbow under. Inhale, lifting and extending. Exhaling. Now this can be modified by just doing the leg, just doing the arm. One more round. We'll meet on that inhale, reaching out. Right hand comes back down, ground equally through both arms. Float the left leg over to the right and down to the ground, either to the top of the foot, toes pointed, or toes tucked under. Peek over that right shoulder, giving our left side a nice big stretch. Inhale, head and leg come back up. Exhale, bring the knee down, tabletop. And again, couple rounds of some cat-cows. Maybe trying to stay connected into that lower back, the space behind the waist. And then let's give our wrists a break for a moment. And we're gonna walk ourselves to the back of our yoga mat. So tuck the toes under. We're still in our tabletop. But we're gonna take our bow and Hatha to the hands and then do a little bit of our low flow to continue to wake the body up this morning. So when we take our bow, we can shift our hips back towards the heels. They don't need to touch. We'll bow the head towards the floor. It doesn't need to touch, but rise up on your fingertips here. So we're holding two invisible tennis balls with the hands. So just the fingertips are touching. Flex through the knuckles so you can round through the fingertips. Head probably won't touch, but this will stretch the wrists, stretch the shoulders. Do pull the belly in. On the inhale, we're gonna float up, flatten out the palms. We might need to bring our hands slightly forward as we're gonna rock right forward into our kneeling plank. Lift those knees up if you wanna check your alignment or if you just wanna add a little bit more power to the pose. On the exhale, drop the knees, pull the belly in, shift the hips back, lift your palms up, grab onto those tennis balls, take a bow. Inhale, glide forward. We're trying to bring the hips right between the shoulders and the knees. Continue to pull the low belly in, gaze slightly forward. On our exhale, lead with the navel, pulling it back, lift the palms, take a bow. Now we're gonna build on it into our low flow. So on our inhale, kneeling plank. This exhale, we are gonna be coming all the way down to our bellies. So bend your elbows straight back. Try to go slowly, but if you need to go a little bit faster, that's fine too. The chin's gonna stay forward. Hands will slide underneath our shoulders. Flatten out the tops of the feet here. And keep your feet wider than the hips if you do take care of the low back. You may also zip the feet and legs together like the tail of a snake. Squeeze your shoulder blades together. Pull your shoulders down your back. Tighten up the muscles of the back. Inhale, breathing. Lift the heart. We'll feel that area of the low back coming closer together. We're strengthening. Gaze slightly forward, Bhujangasana. On the exhale, we're going to bring the head down, kiss the mat. Tuck the toes and the tailbone under. Elbows squeeze into the body. Low belly pulls in. Try to push into the ground. Inhaling, straightening the arms into our kneeling plank. And then exhale, draw the belly in. Take a bow. Lift those palms. Stretch out the back. Let's do this again. Inhale, forward kneeling plank. Exhale, super strong upper body, lowering down, the modified Chaturanga Dandasana. Chin forward, hands slide under the shoulders, ground the tops of the feet, squeeze the muscles of the back. Inhale, lifting the heart, Bhujangasana. You may lift the hands up to intensify or take any version of Cobra you like. On the exhale, we come all the way back down. Kiss the mat, tuck the toes and the tailbone, pull that low belly in, and inhale, try to push the body back up to that kneeling plank. Draw the belly in, exhale, take a bow, dropping the head towards the floor, lifting the palms. We're gonna do one more round. I want us to try to all just move at our own rhythm with our breath, taking modifications as needed. Take your time. We're all going to meet back in our bow once we get there. If you want to flatten out the tops of the feet and take it all the way back into a child's pose for a moment, maybe sliding the hands back to the feet just to give your wrists a break, you're welcome to do so. And we'll just observe the body, the breath for a moment. Next inhale, re-extend those arms, fingers wide, float that body back up to tabletop. Walk those hands slightly forward, tucking toes and tail, draw the belly in. We're gonna press into the ground, floating our hips up, back, and shifting our weight down the backs of our legs into maybe our first downward facing dog of our day. So we'll all take a moment here to receive this nice big stretch across the back of the body and the benefits of our inversion. At any time, we may come back down to another resting pose, tabletop or child's pose. Those of us who are feeling extra stiff today, let's walk our dog, bending one knee at a time, sinking the opposite heel to the ground. This will really help to stretch out the backs of those legs. As you're walking the dog, try to stay rooted and grounded through the mound of the index finger and thumb, but rolling those upper arm bones away from the ears. Our neck is as long and loose as possible here. Keep that breath even, flowing in and out through the nose. And same thing, we'll pause in stillness for another round or two of breathing. Let's see if we can feel that space behind our waist, where the lower half of the body, weight moving down the legs towards the earth. And even though the hands are moving towards the ground as well, see if we can't create a lot of extension and opening through the vertebra of the back. One more breath. Next inhale, looks forward. We'll baby step our feet to our hands to our feet. Now, some of us modify our forward folds, so feel free to continue to do that by bending the knees, resting our elbows or even our hands on our thighs. We do not need to stay upside down. You may even come up to standing and practice Tadasana. Those of us continuing in Uttanasana or forward fold, again, we might still have a lot of tightness in the body. We're still warming up. You can try to prance your legs slightly, bending one knee slightly forward than the other. If you have the ability to take a hold of your elbows and ragdoll the upper body, feel free to do so. Feet are strong, root through the four corners of the feet. Legs are strong. Start thinking about those lower bandhas. Mula bandha, our root lock in the pelvic floor, squeezing and lifting inward. Uddiyana bandha, abdominal lock below the navel, squeezing and lifting inward. And then let's all bend our knees slightly. Place our hands on our thighs with the fingertips turned in. Tuck the chin to the chest, and we're going to take a big breath in as we round up, articulating through the spine again, rolling up through the vertebra. Make sure we're inhaling, inhaling, inhaling as we have been upside down for a little bit. Once that head is floating up towards the shoulders, make sure you have your balance, your blood pressure is regulated. Immediately turn your palms out and try to inhale even more air as we reach out and up towards the ceiling. Big stretch. We'll bring the palms together and then exhale, lower our hands to our heart center. So let's start with that foundation today. Feet about hips width apart, picking up those toes. Let's extend the arms beside the body at this point into mountain pose. Toes are up. Mound of the big toes are grounded, the inner heels grounded. Simultaneously ground the mound of the pinky toe and outer heel. Unlock the knees, so don't push your kneecaps backwards. Unlock the knees. Feel as if you're trying to lift your kneecaps up the thighs, so the front of the thighs are strong and engaged. And then at that low back behind the waist point, really drop and lengthen down towards the earth and lift up. So we have that dynamic tension working in our body. Lower half rooted into the earth so that the upper half can get long. It can be lifted all the way up through the crown of the head. If your toes are still up, that's fine. Let's turn our palms forward this morning and spread the fingers as wide as we can. So our fingers and our toes kind of correlated with each other. So when one does one thing, it can help the other do the same. And remember, no tension here in the face, the mouth, the throat. Let's come back to our breath and go right into our opening balance. Inhale, reach out, reach up. This time, lift the heels up. Now the lower half of the body should still stay rooted to the floor even though we're just standing on our tippy toes. Palms touch. Exhale, lower half of the body, the heels touch, hands to heart. 2 more times, palm tree pose. Inhale, creating as much lift and length as we can through the spine, the upper half of the body. Good, exhale. Nice, one more round. Big, big stretch, feel that space between the vertebrae. Exhale. Lower the heels, bring the hands to heart. So from here, we're going to go into some of our standing work. We're going to do some of our bigger standing poses, but add a little fluidity into them today. So if you have yoga blocks nearby, they might come in handy as a little assistance. So if you have blocks, you can take one towards the front of your mat, one towards the back of your mat. We may or may not use them. If you use a chair, or you have a seat of a chair that you use, place your chair to the front of your mat or to the right side of your body first. And remember, when we're moving around, stay engaged, make all of our movements part of our practice. And then we'll want to turn ourselves so that we are facing the long edge of our yoga mat. We can float the elbows out, fingertips touching, and on an inhale, just take a nice big step out, 1 foot at a time. We want to try to open those feet pretty wide in this stance, so that the ankles are almost as wide as our flexed wrists here. And we also want to start with the feet parallel to each other. We have a tendency to want to turn the toes out, so point the toes forward. Make sure your knees are always following towards the centers of the feet. Float the head. From here, pick up the right toes. We're opening at the thigh, pointing our toes to the front of our mat, keeping the hips and shoulders as open as possible. On the exhale, we're going to slide down an invisible wall, bending our right knee. So there's no movement in the body forward or backwards. We're taking the elevator straight down. And the knee is going to start to move forward. Now we might need to adjust the foot. If you look down, you should see your right big toe to the inside of the knee. So we might either need to do more work from the outer knee to outer hip. I walk my foot in several inches. So I'm actually in a heel to toe alignment, not heel to instep, heel to heel. Doesn't work for me and my body. So make your adjustments, knee over ankle, most safe. Engage, lift in through the front body, in and up, and the lower abs, but that lower half is still sinking to the ground. Virabhadrasana 2, Drishti looks over the right fingertips. Pause and breathe in the pose. Try to keep the weight equal in both feet. You did a lot of yard work today. You're going to feel this in your arms. We're going to start moving and loosening here. So from here, on the inhale, simply straighten your right leg and drop the arms down in front of the body. Let them fall in front of the body. So the right leg is straight. The arms are going to fall in front of the body. Good. Now exhale, reach back out. Warrior 2. Inhale, straighten the legs. Feel like you're inhaling, pulling that breath into the torso. Exhale, lunge back out. Yes, one more. Inhale, arms are soft, relax the shoulders. Exhale, Virabhadrasana 2. Now turn the palms up. On the inhale, left arm reaches down. It's not resting on that back leg, it's just floating there. Right arm reaches up into our reverse warrior. We're going to flow again. So on this exhale, bend the right elbow. Strong core. We're going to try to bring the elbow to the thigh and reach that left arm over the ear. Utthita Parshva Konasana, extended side angle. Now, a lot of core here. Inhale, back arm comes up and down. Front arm reaches up to reverse warrior. You can gaze upwards. Exhale, elbow to thigh, arm reaches over. One more round here. Legs are super strong, staying grounded. The next inhale is where we will meet in our reverse warrior. So inhale, use your muscles to pull you up and back. Take your time. We'll all catch up here in a second. And then from this final reverse warrior, we'll exhale back to warrior 2. Virabhadrasana 2. Good. Inhale, straighten the right leg. Exhale, relax the arms down. Turn the right toes forward. Pause for a moment. Roll your shoulders if you need to. Little rotation in the head side to side. Maybe we unconsciously tightened a little too much. Little loosey. All right, so feet are parallel. Inhale, arms out. Left toes lift up at that thigh. We're externally rotating, pointing the toes to the back of our mat. The knees should be pointing forward. We're trying to keep our hips and shoulders open to the long edge of the mat. Now take that elevator straight down. There's no movement in the body forward or back. We're simply bending the left knee, stacking the knee over the ankle, and sliding down that invisible wall. Now have a look down. If you can't see your big toe and the knee is falling in, do more work outer knee to outer thigh, or step the foot in until you can see it, until your knee stacked over your ankle. So again, I have a big step I take, so really closed hips, internal rotation there, I should say. Virabhadrasana 2, we're going to try to hold and breathe, looking out over those fingertips of the left hand. Relax the face, drop the shoulders from the ears. Feel the strength pulling up through the side body. Energize down through both legs. One more breath. Now our next inhale, straighten the left leg and just let your arms sweep down in front of the body. Inhaling, leg straightens. Now exhale, lunge back out to your warrior two. Good. Inhale, straighten the leg. Let your arms float down as if we're pulling that breath up into the torso. Exhale, release back out. Good, one more. Big breath in. Straighten the leg. Exhale, big lunge back out. Palms up. Inhale, right arm down, left arm up, reverse warrior. Exhale, draw that belly in, extended side angle, bend to the left elbow, reach the right arm over the ear, big lateral stretch. Now we got to use our muscles to inhale, press through the feet, to float all the way back up to reverse warrior. Exhale, Utthita Parshvakonasana, extended side angle. One more round with your breath. So on the inhale, you'll float your top arm back and down, front arm up to the ceiling. The drishti can look up. And one more time to extended side angle. Now we'll meet in reverse warrior. So we're bringing our top arm back and down. Left arm reaches up. This exhale brings us to warrior two. We feel it in that left leg. I do. Straighten the leg. Relax the arms down. Turn the left toes forward. So I have to readjust my feet. Swim your shoulders a couple times. Make sure we don't have any unnecessary tension. We're holding into the upper body. So one more standing pose, side to side. Utthita Trikonasana, extended or triangle pose. So you might want to have your blocks here for you. I'm not going to use my blocks today. I practice unsupported triangle. I don't go into it as far, but we'll see where we're at. Feet parallel, inhale, arms out. Pick up the right toes, opening at the hip, point the toes forward. Now it's important that we're not collapsed in our right knee. That leg is straight, but it's strong and engaged. We may take a little tip in the pelvis. This will intensify the stretch up the inner thigh and the back of the leg. Side body should stay equally long. Anchor that low back down, belly in. Inhale, lengthen. On the exhale, windmill the arms. There is an option to rest the hand on the thigh, but you must have a micro bend in your knee if you're putting any weight on that leg. I'm taking my hand to the inside of the leg, using it as a little bit of a lever, drawing my left shoulder back, trying to maintain this length through the spine. We'll hold for a few breaths. So if the breath allows you to go into a deeper stretch, you may place that yoga block to the instep of the foot and rest your fingertips to it. Drishti may be down, knee to the center of the foot, forward, or upwards to the top hand. One more breath. The next inhale, reach up to the ceiling. Use those muscles to pull the body up. Exhale, drop the arms. Turn the right toes forward. Pause for a moment. Loosen up neck and shoulders. Feet parallel to each other. Inhale, arms out. Pick up the left toes, open at the hips, spiraling the thigh bone open. Uncollapse the knees. So if you're just sinking into that knee joint, re-engage, pull up through the thigh bone, low belly pulled in, lower buttock, reaching towards the ground. Little tip here in the pelvis is okay. We'll start to feel that stretch up the inner thigh, back of the leg. Inhale, lengthen, that's the Utthita part. Trikonasana, triangle pose, windmilling the arms. And ideally, we're finding symmetry in this pose. So we're trying to bring our body on this side to where it was on our first side. If it can't go there, or it goes further, in my school of thought, we would bring it into the same position, even if it can go further, to keep balance in the body. If the breath allows you to go further in the pose, you may bring fingertips to the block to the instep. Drishti can look down, check in with your alignment, knee to the center of the foot. Gazing forward, the neck stays long in line with the spine, or trying to gaze upwards to the top hand. Equal weight on both feet. Couple more breaths. One more breath. The next inhale pulls us all the way up out of our pose. Take your time. Exhale, drop those arms. Let them loosen. A lot of work for those shoulders, I know. Turn the left toes forward. Now this time, turn your heels in. And you might even just inch your feet in a little bit closer to each other. So now we're going to do a little bit more loosening. We did some strengthening there. On the inhale, let the arms softly float overhead. On the exhale, bend the knees out to the toes. Your knees must go to those toes. We're just drawing a nice loosey-goosey circle. Fingertips can be relaxed. We're sliding down that invisible wall. So yes, this is a little bit of strengthening, but think more about moving underwater, just letting your joints kind of get as loose as possible. Let's take one more round. We'll meet on the inhale whenever we get there, reaching our arms all the way up to the ceiling this time, bringing the palms to touch and exhaling our hands to our heart. Inch those feet now closer together. They're going to be wider than the hips, but closer than where we were. You can parallel them so the toes are pointing forward. And we're going to go into a little bit of our balance work. So we're bringing our weight into the right side, pushing our right foot through the floor. So this will really feel that dynamic tension of the lower half of the body, waist down, rooting into the earth, super strong, growing those roots so that the upper half can get nice and light and lengthen. So once we kind of get our balance here, start to lift and lower the toes of the left foot. Stay connected to that smooth, even breath. And then we'll try to add our little hover here, just floating in space. If we want to stay soft today, especially if you are feeling things in your body. Just see what little effort I need to do to stay here. If we want to create that space and dimension in the body, now we're going to engage our muscles, flex the foot, spread the fingers, and reach out. Uttanasana, star pose. Big, bright, shining star. Nice. Good choices. Keep breathing. One more big breath in. On the exhale, we're just going to try to land as softly as possible. Feet are still a little wider. Let the arms slow down. Take a shoulder roll. Pause for a moment. Turn the palms out. Inhale, reach it up. Palms touch. Exhale to our center. Drishti is fixed on one spot. Lean to the left. Whole lower half of the body, roots and grounds down to the earth. Super strong. Nobody would be able to come up behind me and knock my knee out from me. All these muscles are hugging to the bones. And as soon as I find that strength, this gets really light. This foot almost comes up on its own at that point. Float those arms out. Try to play with our balance here a little bit. Good. Maybe we can find a soft hover. It's okay if we're moving around in space here. Our body's figuring it out. Now we can stay nice and soft today, just trying to stay loose and still get our balance in. Or we'll activate toes, fingertips, muscles, reaching out into space. Still breathing fluidly in and out through the nose. One more big breath in. Exhale. Again, try to land just as softly as possible. Some days we have a little bit more of a smooth landing than others. Float the arms beside the body. Pause for a moment. Turn those palms out. Inhale, big stretch here. Reach it up. Lower half of the body stays grounded so the upper half can grow tall. Palms touch. Exhale, hands to heart. Good. So might need to rearrange ourselves. We're going to end up back to the top of our mat. So if we had some props around us, we can move those out of the way. And while we're moving around, if you have a yoga strap or using a scarf, a dog leash, whatever it might be that you're using, just find that and have that nearby. We'll get to it in a second, but we'll just already collect our goods so we don't have to do it once we're down on the ground. Coming back to the top of our mat, stand tall, anchor the feet to the floor, hips width apart, legs are strong. Imagine that line around our waistline and that whole section of our body rooting into the earth, and that line above the waistline lifting and lengthening up towards the sky. Turn those palms out. Inhale, reach up. Extended mountain. Utthita Tadasana, create a lot of length. Drishti thumbs for a gentle back bend. On the exhale, micro bend the knees. Hinge from the hips. Arms come back around, and we'll find our version of Uttanasana. So I often pause about halfway. Don't rush anything. Really slow, mindful movement. As soon as those muscles start to lengthen a little bit up the legs and the low back, then we might go a little further. We will hold Uttanasana again for a couple of breaths, giving ourselves an opportunity to let go of tension in the neck and shoulders. Next, inhale, let's take our halfway lift. So the hands will come onto the shins or higher. We'll float the heart up and gaze forward. Strong, flat back. Exhale, we're gonna bend our knees. Plant those hands, and let's take a big step back today into our plank position. So 1 foot at a time. Arms are straight and strong. Low belly's pulled in. Squeeze the muscles to the bone. You may drop down to your knees at any time to modify, or be on your forearms. That's up to you. We're going to try to hold for several breaths today, building up some strength in the body. Just 3 more breaths. One more breath. Next, inhale, float those hips up to the sky. Exhale, shift the weight back, down the legs, through the heels towards the ground. Bend your knees a little bit more deeply if we need to help release the back. Equal weight in the hands. Pull those shoulders down from the ears. Let the neck be long and loose. Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take a breath. Next inhale, let's lift our heels up as high as we can. On this exhale, we'll lower down to our knees, point the toes, finding our version of child's pose again. So if you can keep the feet and the knees touching, sliding the hands to the feet and bowing the head here, but modify as needed, no worries. Hands under the shoulder, tuck the chin, inhale, roll up. So I know it's not an option for everybody to sit in a hero's pose back on your heels. We are gonna go for that seated half lord of the fish pose. It's a seated twist today. So if you are able to sit back on your heels, start here. If not, you can bring your legs out in front of you and I'll get you there anyway. I want us all to shift over to our left hip and then bring the feet slightly out to the side of the right hip. We will probably need something to sit up on. That can be a yoga block, a firmly folded towel, or a blanket. I have my little folded cushion here I'm gonna have beside me. So the fuller pose, we would be sitting on both sit bones. I'm gonna slide my cushion underneath my sit bones. I'm gonna float the right knee up And either step the right foot in front of the left shin or try to step the right foot all the way over to the outside of the left thigh. I'm not sitting on my left foot. My left foot is moved out so that both my right sit bone and left sit bone are firmly planted on my cushion. If you are able to plant both sit bones on the ground, you are welcome to be there. That's going to be pretty challenging for the majority of people. So this is what the fuller version of the pose looks like. I know that's not for everybody. So if that left leg is not going to bend back behind us, you may simply straighten the left leg out. If you are elevated, just be mindful of that knee, and the right foot can be stepped right in front of the sit bone, or you can try to step the right foot still to the outside of the left thigh, but the left leg is straight instead of bent. So that should be an option for everybody today. We should all be able to find a seated position for this twist. So it's Marichyasana C or Ardha Matsyasana. Wherever we are, sit bones equal, bellies in, lower half of the body anchored, upper half of the body creating space. We'll hold on to the right shin bone and gaze straight forward. Shoulders should be nice and parallel to the floor. From here, float your right fingertips behind the body. If you have to lean back because they're not touching, we'll want to take a prop behind our right hand. There is no weight in this hand. If anything, you're pushing the ground away from you through those fingertips. Hugging the right knee in, take a deep breath in to create that length up the spine. We will be twisting to the right. So on our exhale, we're going to start rotating through the spine, which happens in the thoracic vertebra. So the mid back and upwards. And then we're going to breathe, rotate, and twist. So we can continue to adjust the shoulders, open the eyes nice and wide. This is a really great opportunity to stretch the muscles out around our eyes. Peek behind you as far as you can see. And twists are just really wonderful to help let go of tension and stiffness in the body. Now we'll take one more breath in the pose. On our next exhale, we release. So we unwind. We bring the head, the shoulders, and the body back to face forward. Cactus your arms out from the shoulders and just gently turn and bow towards the left. You might not even have a lot of movement there, but just a little counter twist. And then inhale, bring the body back up. So if you're like me and I really tighten my hips, I even felt that in my outer right hip. So we'll go for the other side. If you're in half floor to the fishes, you can uncross the right foot, bring the left knee up, and sweep both feet over to your left to start. If you had your leg straight, you'll just switch. You'll straighten your right leg, step your left foot in, either the heel in line with the sit bone, or try to step it to the outside of the right thigh. If we're gonna go for half floor to the fishes, we might need to readjust our seat here. So this side's a little more challenging for me to keep both sit bones anchored and rooted. Left sit bone, right sit bone. I'm not sitting on my right foot. That should be out. Left foot may step in front of that shin. Oh, this is my really tight side. Or you may try to bring, I don't know if this side's gonna go, over the right thigh. It doesn't hurt. I'm not hurting myself. It's just really stiff. I think I can hold it here after a breath or two. So anchor those sit bones. Our left foot should also be grounded. Hold on to that right shin, sit up tall, gazing straight forward. Belly still drawing in and up. Lower half of the body, rooting down to the earth. Left fingertips float behind the body. Maybe we find the floor. Maybe we need a book or some sort of prop behind us. Do not lean into that hand. Push the ground away from you. Right arm can hug that knee towards the body. Inhale. And then on the exhale, start the rotation. And you go in little micro movements here. Inhaling, creating the space. Exhaling, maybe moving a little further into that space. Keep breathing. Relax the face. Eyes may open really wide, trying to find that furthest point behind us. Take a big breath in. On the exhale, slowly release the head and the body to face forward. Cactus those arms out from the shoulders. Take a little bow over to our right. Inhale, come up. So those of us that have our feet underneath us, uncross the left foot. We're all going to meet with legs stretched out. You can help those knees up. Reach those heels out. Let's keep our knees bent. Come off of our prop if we're on one. And scooch forward so that we're sitting more towards the middle of our mat, because it is going to be time to come down to the ground. You may come to one side and walk yourself down. You may plant the feet, open the knees, reach fingertips forward, strongly draw the belly in and try to roll down, articulating through there, trying to roll through that sweet spot in the back of the waist. Once we work our way all the way down to the ground, take a moment, adjust the clothing, move the ponytails. We'll reach our arms overhead, our legs out into our long body stretch. And then floating those arms down beside us, draw the shoulders under, step the feet in, and let's hug our knees in and give a little massage to our back. So we'll take a hold of our strap. We're just going to do a little hamstring stretch with our strap today, but we'll start in waterfall pose. So you can bring one foot in at a time. It's usually easier. Get one foot in there, stretch it up, and then the other foot. The strap will be towards the lower arch of the foot where it meets the heel. Hands can be in any position that's comfortable. We want to hold the strap open so the heart stays open. Take a breath here. Now keep the right foot up in the strap. Bring the left foot to the floor. And we're going to work on opening up the back of the right leg. So nice stretched out hamstrings also really benefit our spinal health. Tight hamstrings pulls our pelvis out of alignment, and that can obviously continue up that kinetic chain of the vertebra. Try to create length from the inner groin to the inner heel. You may gently draw the right leg closer to the body on the exhales. A little bit more, slide that left heel forward, anchor the left leg to the ground. The left foot is just as active. Little strength in the hands and the arms if you want to create a bigger stretch up the back of the leg. And those of us that want to go one more step further, we may float the head up, flare the elbows out, as if we're trying to bring the nose towards our knee. So that will also stretch out the upper back a little bit. Keep the left leg active, foot flexed and anchored. One more breath in. If the head is up, exhale, lower the head back down. Slide the left foot in. Bring the left foot up to meet the right foot. Pause and waterfall pose for a moment. Your right leg might feel half an inch or so longer than the left leg, so let's let our left leg catch up. Bring the right foot to the floor. The strap is near that lower arch towards the heel. Open up the eye of the knee. Create some length from the inner groin to the inner heel. On the exhales, we might draw the left leg a little closer towards the torso. Right heel may slide forward. Right foot is actively flexing. The whole right side is anchored to the ground. A little bit more. The head floats up. Maybe your nose is close to your knee. Maybe it's not. The intention is there. Keep your right side anchored and grounded. Big breath in. Exhale, the head lowers down. The right foot slides in and then floats back up to meet the left, waterfall pose. Take a breath. And then bend the knees, release the strap from the feet. Cross one ankle over the other, relax the legs towards the body. Extend the arm bones straight up to the ceiling, but flop the fingertips forward for dead bug pose. If you need to give them a little wiggle, they got a little tight from holding the strap, do so. Try to relax the throat and the shoulders though. Switch the cross at the ankles. Take another breath or two here. And then uncross the feet, reach for the big toes, inner foot, outer foot, or even the outer thighs. Happy baby pose, soles of the feet face the ceiling, knees fall down into the armpits, a little rock here, and even a single leg extension out to the sides, one leg at a time. So if you want to add some movement to your happy baby, do so. Or just let those hips open, let the weight of the legs fall down towards the ground. Big breath in. On the exhale, we'll squeeze the knees and the feet together. Try to wrap the arms across the shin bones, maybe grabbing hold of opposite elbows, forearms, or wrists. Nose can float up to the knees, giving our body a nice big squeeze. Take a nice deep breath in. And on our exhale, it is time to let the body find a final relaxation pose, a restorative pose, to absorb all the benefits of the poses we did practice today, our asanas. So if you have pillows and blankets around you and you want to give those legs some support, the back, the head, feel free to do so. Make the adjustments in the body to get as comfortable as possible. If we could visualize our body from the ceiling down, we'd want our body to be in the most symmetrical position it can be in. Turn the palms up to the ceiling, let the fingertips curl up naturally. Maybe open the legs a little wider today if you're in Shavasana. If you're in a supported pose, you can just let those feet float. So we'll do a little bit more of guided relaxation. Have a moment, some peace and quiet. I'll then ring the singing bowl. And at that point, those of us that want to come up to a seated position and take a meditation, concentration time, we can. You're always welcome to stay where you are on the ground. So rock the head out, make sure we have found the back center of the skull. Poof the cheeks, yawn, wiggle out the mouth, tongue and jaw. Relax all the muscles across the face, the brow and the eyebrow center. Let the tongue and lower jaw fall away with gravity. Feel the weight of the shoulders, the arms, the hands. Soften the heart. Relax the belly and the abdomen completely. Maybe noticing a subtle rise and fall of the belly with the breath. Relax the larger muscles around the hips, the hip sockets, the buttocks, the thighs. Feel the weight of the legs all the way down through the knees, into the ankles, the feet, and toes. The breath becomes easy, quiet, and smooth. If the mind wanders, we gently bring it back to the peaceful breath. Giving ourselves permission to let go, to relax, and to simply be and breathe. So those of us that are choosing to come into a seated position for a few more moments at the end of class, just take a moment to slowly wake our bodies up. Gentle movements, bringing life back to the body. Maybe a stretch, maybe draw the knees in. Now we'll try to keep the eyes soft or closed. Do take a moment to pause on one side. If we're working our way up to our seat, we'll do so mindfully. You might need to open the eyes softly to rearrange our surroundings. If you are taking a seat, we want to be supported and comfortable. So we might want to slide a prop back underneath the sit bones. You may take Sukhasana, easy cross, Siddhasana, heel to heel alignment. If you have Ardha Padmasana or Padmasana in your practice and it does not strain your hips or your knees, you may take those positions as well. Those of us moving into the seat, anchor the sit bones equally towards the earth. Hands can come into Chin Mudra, index finger touching thumb. our connection between our individual consciousness and universal consciousness, resting the hands on the knees. Again, from that waistline, allowing the lower half of the body to sink down into the ground, growing strong roots into the earth. And then from that waistline upwards, vertebra by vertebra, creating space in the spine, opening the spine all the way up between the shoulder blades, the neck, and continue to feel that lifting and lengthening through the very crown of the head upwards. Keep all the little muscles across the face soft and relaxed. With the lips softly touching, that tongue and lower jaw can continue to fall away to gravity. Maintaining the posture, let the weight of the shoulders, elbows fall away from the ears. Notice the weight of the hands on the knees. At this point, we may focus the mind's eye at the third eye center, Agnya chakra, the space between the brow, our place of intuition and wisdom. We may also focus our attention at the tip of the nose and the nostrils following the breath. And we may internalize a mantra, mentally repeating it over and over again. This may be as simple as an affirmation. I am at peace. I am relaxed. Or even repeating the mantra Om over and over again. Those of us still in our reclined position on the floor, take a moment here to breathe life back into the body. Any gentle movements to wake the body back up. Remember to pause in Supta Balasana, even if it's just for a moment on one side. And then slowly join us in a seated position of your choice. Those of us already in our seated pose, just notice and observe the posture. Make any corrections as needed. And then we'll finish our practice with just a couple more breaths together today. Minding our surroundings, let's float those arms off to the side of the body, palms up. We'll take another nice deep breath in through the nose, reaching those fingertips out wide and all the way up to the ceiling, feeling that length up through the spine and drawing in everything we need for the rest of our day. Turn those palms out, big breath out, float the fingertips all the way back down to the floor and let go of all that other junk we don't need today. And again, inhale, reaching up through the fingertips. Bring the palms to touch. Exhaling, hands to heart. Humbly bow the head down to the heart to honor and thank ourselves, our bodies, each other, and anyone else that made it possible for us to practice our yoga together today. Feel free to join me in the Om Shanti Mantra if you like. Taking a deep breath in to begin. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.